Hey everybody, welcome to another Sunday Night Live.
Woo!
And tonight with me is my guest, Jim Bennett, the Emperor of Fun.
Yay! How's it going, guys?
Before I go into this little show with Jim, I do
Yeah.
have a couple announcements to make. Wednesday night, I will be having a guest, Rebecca Fox. She's been on twice before. We are going to have a special discount for my viewers. She wanted to launch a product on my channel. So
Cool.
I'm not normally one to do that type of thing, but she supported me when I first started the show. She didn't have to come on. She barely knew who I was from another site. So I figured she supported me at the beginning. I should support her. So also the winner of the contest. I had 21 comments on my 1,000 sub contest video, and the winner was Richard Kavanaugh.
Woo!
Congratulations, Mr. Kavanaugh. If you catch this video, get a hold of me on Facebook with your address, and I will ship out your prize to you as soon as possible. For everybody that didn't know or wondering, he will be getting an LED microscope loop.
Nice.
It goes maximum 45x plus the light. So, and it'll have a Velcro black case that he gets to put it in. So, Jim, for everybody that do not know who you are, or that didn't catch you on the Wednesday night R show about board games, refresh everybody who you are, and then you can go into your little life detail that you are willing to give.
Yeah. Um. Where do I start? Basically, I am a reseller. Full time. I have been for the last 2 years, and I've worked in corporate jobs. I've worked in like fast food. I've done pizza delivery. I've done pretty much every job. I've sold cars. I got my real estate license. I've written screenplays. I've anything I've done a lot of shit. but yeah. So where before I became a reseller, let's see. Let's start with as a kid. My dad worked for Eatontown, New Jersey Public Works Department. And the Public Works Department does your snow plowing. They like do your parks and rec stuff with like taking care of like baseball fields and things like that. They also do garbage collection. So my dad, for 2 days a week, was a garbage man. So he used to bring home tons of stuff that people would throw out. You've probably seen articles out there about garbage men and their collection. There was one recently about a New York garbage man that had like I want to say like a $250,000 collection of just stuff that he found for free. Well, my dad was one of those guys. He would collect stuff from the garbage, bring them home. We'd use them for a little bit, and then we'd take them to the flea market and sell them. So that was my earliest introduction into reselling, was through my father. And we would be down at the flea markets. It got to the point where it was every weekend, solid for a year, before my dad just finally burnt himself out. But I would go down to the flea markets every weekend and roam around. You know, back then you could let your kids go and not worry about them getting kidnapped or anything like that. You don't really see that too much today. But yeah, I would go down there and roam around and check out other tables, run back to my parents and ask if they made enough money for me to buy something, and run back to that table and pick up that game or whatever toy. And then as I got a little bit older, 11, 12, 13 years old, I started going around to our local garbage cans. I used to live in a townhouse community, and they had those big green dumpsters that everybody would throw their trash into, but all the usable stuff people would leave outside. So I'd go around to each garbage collection site and just look at what people are leaving outside the trash. Some of the stuff was great. I used to find Nintendo games, board games, Transformer toys, just stuff that people didn't want. So, or they were punishing their kids, so they were throwing it out, or whatever the reason was. So I would go around and collect that kind of stuff, and then keep it for myself mainly. But then I started selling them off. Like I would go to local mom and pop video stores, which there are none now. So, this tells you how long ago that was. And I would go there with VHS tapes or Nintendo games and say, hey, do you want to buy this from me so that you can rent them out? VHSs usually they had, but the Nintendo games rentals was still kind of new. So they were like, they didn't care about the case or the cart, anything like that. They just wanted the cartridge because that's what they're renting out. And I'd make $5 a pop on those. I'm kicking myself now because I probably could have, with the collection that I had amassed from that, I probably could have made thousands now. But as a 12-year-old kid, to flip that stuff for $5 here and there, I was rich pretty much, and then I got into scrapping. Once I got a taste of that, then I went into scrapping, where I would go into the recyclable bins, take out all the cans. The scrap yard was like 2 minutes from our house, so my mom would run me down to the scrap yard and turn in the cans for cash. And so I've been reselling in some form or another since I was a kid. We've always had lemonade stands. We went door to door and did car washes. So I've been entrepreneurial, from very, very young. And then as I got a little bit older, 14, 15 years old, all my friends were working at McDonald's. So I was like, all right, well, let me do what they're doing. Let's just go ahead and do that. So started working at McDonald's, worked my way up to a store manager position after 6 or 7 years. Did the college thing part-time. It really wasn't for me, because what I learned was, if you want to go to college, that's great, but you're going to college to learn how to work for somebody else, and that just was not me. I did not want to work for someone else. So I went through fast food, decided to get out of that. Worked at Great Adventure, which was a close by Six Flags theme park. Did that for a summer. Didn't like that. And then I went into like various, delivered pizza for about two years. That was fun, but you just kill your car. So we stopped doing that. And then I went into, had my first kid. We moved from New Jersey down to Florida, and that's when I started getting into sales jobs. I sold cars for a little while for Pontiac and GMC. And then I got hooked in with Verizon, and I was there for quite some time. For 4 years for that run. And then after that, I decided to open up my own cell phone store. Or actually, let me put it to you in better terms. I was talked into opening my first cell phone store with. It was with my best friend at work. I had worked with him for 3 out of the 4 years, and we were close. We both had kids that were the same age, and our wives got along, which is really important. And he said, hey, why don't we open up our own cell phone store? And I was like, well, wait, hey, how about we do something else? Because this kind of sucks. But yeah, we both knew cell phones, so we opened up a cell phone store, and it failed pretty much right away. I wanted to get into restaurants again, and he wanted to stick with cell phones. So we did that, and it didn't work out. So, I was at my bottom at that point. I had recently bought a house which went into foreclosure. My kid was just starting school, so we were saying, my wife and I were talking about how bad the schools are down there, and we need to make a change, clean slate. Let's move to North Carolina, where my best friend is. He's been my best friend since I was 12. He's in North Carolina now. and that's where I am now. We made that change for my son to get him out of that school system, which was not performing well down in Florida, to one in North Carolina, which is performing great. And we had 2 more kids along the way, and I went back to Verizon selling cell phones, and I didn't like it. I didn't like being held to numbers every month and being yelled at for, oh, you're not hitting your numbers or you're not selling enough. So I wanted to do something different. So long story short, there's a couple of odd jobs in the middle there where I went back to selling cars and this and that, but I found a little bit of a creative outlet and a leadership role with a small company called Direct Promotionals. They run websites where you can buy custom-made magnets, notepads, flashlights, all that kind of promo product type stuff. And I was hired on as their director of sales operations. So I was, number 2 in line. There was the owner and then me. So, I worked that for about 1.5 years. We grew that business from about $25,000 a month in sales to over $200,000 a month in sales in about 18 months, which was great for me. I was making good money. But from what I learned after that, about 16 months in, is the owner is a serial entrepreneur. What I mean by that is he opens up one thing, he works it to a certain level, and then he sells it. He opens up something different, and then he works it up to a certain level, and then it just falls apart. So he starts something else, and he's always starting, but he's never maintaining, never growing. Once he gets to a certain level, he just kind of freaks out. So he started bad-mouthing me. He called me a cancer in the office after, all this money that I've created, this whole book of, contacts that he has now, all these websites that we created together. So I decided big business wasn't for me. Small business wasn't for me. Just working for people in general was not for me. So I came back to what I know, and that's reselling. And I've been doing it ever since.
Oh, we have a question. Well, actually, a couple of comments first. One was from Brett Luckett. Said, it's funny, I sold GMC in Pontiac, and my brother works at Verizon now. And the crazy card asked, so do you have had it in your blood from the start?
Pretty much, yeah. Just seeing my dad bring home all this stuff, and we had just for, I'd say 6 to 8 months, we just had stuff in our house, and it was crowded, and it was very hoarderish. And then my mom finally said, we need to get this crap out. So we went to the flea markets, and that's where that connection was made with get something cheap or free and sell it for more and make money.
Yeah, Ronnie said he's sold for Zuzu back in '96, then working for a dealership group doing their online sales. So
yeah,
a lot of people have sold cars in the past.
Yeah, I think a lot of resellers have come from a sales background, for sure.
Or at least maybe a flea market type of background too, because like I said, when I started, went to the flea markets, but I didn't really sell until 2005. I wasn't really selling anything. I got into cards and stuff, but I mean.
Right.
So let's see. I'm not seeing any more questions from the viewers. So what did your parents think of when you said that you were going to start selling online or in that realm of things? Because I know most parents want their kids to go to college.
Yeah. My parents definitely wanted me to go to college. It was really more my grandparents that were pushing the college route. Both of my parents are deaf. They can't hear. So I grew up with that kind of challenge, having deaf parents. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. So my first 5 years, I lived with my grandparents because I needed somebody to teach me how to talk since my parents couldn't. They started me in kindergarten as well. So I really had that kind of that help from my grandparents when I was real little. But yeah, they were the ones that were kind of pushing me to go to college, and I just by the time I was ready to go to college, I was in McDonald's for 3 years and just did not want anything to do with management. You know, into having a boss rather. I should say. Um, I knew from right then, like working for somebody sucks, and I did not like it. But at that point, I was like, well, that's all I can really do right now. So I continued down that path. But once I decided to become a reseller, my dad was all for it. He loves that idea. When I went down to Florida, where they live, and I told him what I did, my dad was like, well, how much is this? How much is that? And he's pointing to stuff around the house that he's picking up at yard sales. And I'm like, Dad, you can do this. Like, it's not hard. Like, just because you're deaf doesn't mean you can't do it. So I was kind of showing him the ropes, and he still hasn't jumped into anything yet, but he was crazy excited for it. My mom was as well, because she knows by now that, I'm always going to do what's best for my wife and kids and myself. So that's what we do.
Well, maybe your dad wanted you to help him run his business.
Probably. I think if I would have stayed there another day or two, he would have had me consigning some stuff with him. So.
Oh, let's see. I see Chad showed up in the chat. Scotty, eBay Vlogs is in the chat. Nose Picker. If you have any questions in regards for Jim before into reselling, if you didn't catch what he said at the beginning, please ask and we'll get to them. So what would you say was the most fun you had when you weren't reselling as a kid?
As a young adult, the most fun I had was just hanging out. I grew up on the Jersey Shore, so I was at the beach every spring and summer. I would never go during the day because that's when all the tourists are there. After everything closes down and the tourists go back to their hotels or their rented beach houses, that's when the locals would come out and just kind of hang out at the beach. We didn't have to go to bars or, go play the games or anything like that. We just go, we'd hop the fence and go and hang out on the jetty, and we'd stay there till sunrise. That was probably I'd say that's the most fun that I had. Just 6 or 7 friends out sitting. We used to call them the rocks, just sitting on the rocks, watching the fishing boats go in and out and joking around and having a good time.
So you're a little bit like the Jersey Shore guys before they were TV people.
Well, a little thing about that, the Jersey Shore cast is not from New Jersey. They're from New York. They're what we call Bennies. Bennies are Guidos from New York, and these New York girls that come down with their fake nails and their big hair, and they trash the shore and go home. And every local, we're a big phrase down there is Bennies go home, because by Labor Day we're ready for them to leave.
It's Leisure Picker says working for someone else might be better if you could retire in 20 years, but those days have long gone by a long time ago.
Right. It's really, it's sad what corporations are doing, how they're making their employees work harder for less money and longer hours. You can't retire at 60 now. It was 62, now it's 65, pushing 67. So I decided early on, thank God, that I'm not going to be working for somebody that's going to constantly ask me for more, for less money, and it's not the way money works. To me, it's make minimal investment for maximum gain.
Now, if your kid wanted to do this reselling, or would you let them go to college? Which would you prefer?
All 3 of my boys come out with me whenever they can to resell. on the weekends we go out thrifting, we go out garage sailing before soccer games. They're all with me. So I encourage it. I don't demand it, but it's definitely a good skill to have. If they want to go and work for somebody, by all means, go ahead. It's your life. Do what you want, but you're going to have this skill to always fall back on.
Another question from the crazy card. So basically, you got tired of apologizing for putting in another hard day's work.
That's it. I mean, I work as hard as I can, and by the end of the day, they're like, well, how come you didn't get 7 phones out? You only got 5. It's like, well, sorry. I mean, the company's going to pay me still, and I did the best that I could, but it was never enough.
How many of your friends went around with you when you were a kid to the dumpsters to see what they can pick up?
I had 3 or 4 friends that would always go around. We were the ones that did the car washes door to door. There was 3 of us. We were 12 years old. We'd go and knock on a door and say $3 for a car wash plus whatever change we find in your car. And we'd sell car washes all day long.
Wow. So that's back when people trusted you going into their cars, not stealing anything.
Right. Well, yeah, back then, you could do that kind of stuff. Today, I don't know that I would send my kid out to knock on my neighbor's door because I have no idea who they are.
Oh, let's see. I don't know no other questions yet. What else do you think would be a surprise to the viewers to know about you?
I think when I tell people that I've written screenplays, that kind of gets them. I'm a writer. I've written 2 screenplays. One of them was a finalist in the 2009 AAA screenplay competition, nationwide thing, and I was top 10 in that. I was in a band for quite a few bands, but I play the drums, I play the guitar, I play the ukulele now. I just picked one up maybe a month ago. It was on one of my videos, and I taught myself how to play it. I'm familiar with piano keys. I can't coordinate my 2 hands together, but yeah, so I'm a very creative person. I do like designing. That was one of the things about the promotional products that I liked. Being able to help out with the design of a magnet or a billboard, not a billboard, but a banner, something like that. So, yeah, that's what people don't realize about me. They see this hair and my glasses, and they say, "Oh, he can't play the drums, but I can kick ass on the drums."
Vintage Moon says, as a writer, your eBay listings must have the best keywords.
You would think so, right? No, it's writing for internet is very tough. So
yeah, let's see. Owen Wolf says, I guess whether you quit or were fired doesn't matter. Did you have savings when you went out on your own?
At my last job, Direct Promotionals, I was actually, I had been preparing with my own business and promotional products before I left, or before I was asked to leave. I actually was fired because they found some of my files. So I was fired. I couldn't collect the unemployment. They actually had the police there for some reason. But then the guy started talking about Jesus, and that kind of freaked me out. So I just was like, all right, see ya. Like, this is enough for me. I worked promotional products for a little while. Started buying storage units, started gathering stuff. I did own my own thrift store in that time frame. I was at the flea market a lot. I was not online selling. So, I basically was forced into reselling with 0 saved.
So basically, right now you're doing reselling everything you do pays for every bill that you need. You don't have any other income coming in.
My wife watches kids. She watches 3 kids, um, 2 of which are sisters. And this week we're actually gonna, I believe, my wife is still, she's watching upstairs. So you better tell those fucking kids not to come back. So there's 2 that we're gonna be letting go here soon. So.
Well, one reason I asked it, and I know I used to do as you know, I used to do the admin point of view show.
Mhm.
One of the questions that was posted was, did people do reselling full time, or did they have other jobs to supplement it? And there's been a big debate going back and forth to where one person said more than most, even the YouTubers, have another income coming in, or they're trying to sell something instead of whatever.
Right.
And I said, there's people like Ronnie Hurt. There's others that are out there that are making $10,000 a day or a month. So they're making the income to survive on their own.
Sure.
They don't need to go to Burger King or somewhere else to get extra money coming in.
Right. Yeah. I am 100% on reselling. This is all I do now. I actually went to real estate school, not last year, but the year before, because I figured license is a good thing to have. I'll give that a go. I'll be more of my own boss that way. And when I passed that class, I said, okay, I'm going to start an FBA account. This was in October of last year. I'm going to start an FBA account at the same time. Whatever takes off first, that's the route that I'm going. And FBA in October, November, December just kicked ass. I mean, I didn't have time to focus on real estate because I was doing so much FBA right out of the gate. I mean, it was just insane how fast that started.
Oh, I forgot Ronnie was even in the chat when I mentioned his name. He said, after doing my taxes, I feel like going back to work for someone.
Well, Ronnie, you got to get yourself some kids and get those tax breaks.
But if you have to worry about going back to another job when you're paying taxes, that means you're actually making money. You may not be as much as you want, but at least you're able to survive on your own. If you go away for a vacation on 6 weeks in a year, that's a good job.
It's a good problem to have, paying too much in taxes. That's for sure.
And Scotty eBay's vlog said, I'm an ex-coal miner forced from part-time to full-time reseller. Him and his wife do it. So,
man, that's got to be hard work. I couldn't do stuff like that. I can't. Like, I watched Dusty work on his cars and stuff with his brother in law. There's no way. I have no idea what I'm doing. I can barely drive a car, let alone fix one.
any questions for Jim here? I know you're all shocked at some of the stories he's coming up with. Like, boss was talking about, gee, this all of a sudden it scared him.
Mm-hmm.
What else? How long do you think you'd be doing this if you say somebody else came along and had for you a good enough job to go off, like work for somebody else? Like maybe you'll be the president and they'll be the owner, and so you basically make all the decisions or whatever. Would you do that, or would you stay reselling?
I would stay reselling, and Deb says that you're presenting me, so I would stay reselling. It's just what I love. I mean, it's in me, and I can't shake it. So I wouldn't do anything else.
And Deb, I just told, since Jim's basically the guest and he was going to be talking most about his life, I figured I would show him more than myself. That's what I was trying to do with this show, have the guests talk about their life and let them be the ones front and center instead of flipping back and forth between me and him on the screens. So hope that's okay with everybody. I know you want to see me, but the guest is more important sometimes. Okay, Nose Picker wants to know, hi Jim, where do you find your inventory?
I thrift a lot. I've got about 40 thrift stores right here in Raleigh, Durham. I've got 4 different routes that I run. I go out 4 days a week, come home, process it, and ship it out. Um, and I do some buying at my flea markets. The flea market here really sucks. It's not like it was where you had people clearing out their house and selling stuff cheap. It's all storage auction buyers going out there and trying to sell it. But I do have every now and again find something, because not everybody's going to know everything about every item that they have. So it's my job to know more than that, right? So I do that. I started buying off of proxybid.com, which is an online auction site. I bought 19 lots last Thursday, which contained about 500 pieces. So we spent all weekend going through that. So, but those to the flea market and thrifts, yard sales, those would be my main
Well,
sources.
apparently Vintage Moon and Cherry Vintage are sharing a brain because they have a question in their head, but they're not in the mood to share
Okay.
it. And Crafty Caregiver says, "Where did you come up with the name Emperor of Fun?"
Well, it's kind of a take off of an old, or not an old, it's actually a fairly current comedy bit by John Bennett. He talked about the cake boss. He said if Buddy Velastro, the cake boss, can arbitrarily call himself the boss of cakes, I'm going to be the king of ham. So when I registered my business with the state, there's a spot in there that says title. So I said, well, I don't want to be the president. I don't want to be the CEO. I'm going to be the Emperor of Fun. And I did that, and they took it. So now I am officially the Emperor of Fun, because I sell toys. So, so that's it.
And I don't know if you want to answer this one. Brett Luckett wants to ask Jim, what percentage of your business is eBay and what percentage is Amazon?
I would say 80% Amazon, 20% eBay, although eBay is growing more day by day. So.
Okay. See a Vintage Moon. She can't
Have
watch.
a good day.
Okay. Not seeing any more questions. Okay. Well, I don't know if you caught my actual episode, so why don't we turn the table a little bit and see if there's any questions you want to ask me about myself.
Yeah, you're in Colorado now, right?
Yes.
You were in Connecticut, was that right?
I born in Connecticut, lived in Massachusetts and New York.
Okay. So how did you like the transition from the Northeast to, I guess that's Midwest?
I liked it when I first got here. It's still people that are nice and polite and everything, but just the fact that there's different ways of doing things. You're used to having a bank open at 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. Here they don't open until 10.
Oh, wow.
Or 9. It's like, okay, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking to, gotta wait another half hour or an hour. And I'm like, so they're more laid back here. They're not like on the East Coast where rush. You have to get things done.
Right.
Always in some businesses. So, otherwise, we are trying to find another place to move to. If we can't, we're going to start building on this house where we live. But it's just, I'd like to have somebody else to go out and do things with, whether it be picking or not. Like I can go play poker and stuff with. Those are acquaintances to me. They're not going to go out and want to go picking and do other hangout things with me. So.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, because it was culture shock to me to move from New Jersey to Florida, believe it or not. And not just the weather, like just the people was just kind of culturally different. So it took some getting used to, for sure.
We have a couple more questions that popped up. Texas Gal Treasures wants to know, what is your favorite game or toy to sell, vintage or current?
I love vintage board games. when I find one, I just buy it. It doesn't matter. I don't scan it or look it up. I just buy it. Video games I would love to get into. I just around here, there's so many resellers. I mean, it seems like every soccer mom is reselling. So, you know, you don't come across too many video games in Raleigh, Durham, in the flea markets, and the thrifts. And if you do come across them at yard sale, they have the eBay printout with it, and they say this is what they're getting on eBay, even though it's what they're asking for, and this is what I'm selling it for, which is usually $10 off of that price. So, but board games, anything war related is cool, like old Civil War games. Today I picked up Axis and Allies and Shogun. I was really excited about that. And anytime I see a sealed game, I always kind of look around and see if anybody's, you know, gunning for it. So
Chuck Allen said he came in late. Hope this hasn't been asked before. How did you learn to do well in FBA?
Reading, lots of reading. I didn't find the Facebook groups until after I started, and then I realized that there were a lot of experts on there that were wrong. So I read a lot on Amazon seller forums. I watched all of Amazon's videos. And that's really it. I mean, I just read a lot, and it only took me about 2 weeks of, you know, looking through different forums and videos, and to figure out what I need to do to send in a good shipment that won't be kicked back or altered in any way. Yeah, I sent in my first shipment, which oddly enough was a video game buy. I bought some guy's collection. And I individually bagged every game, and all, you know, there were 6 systems in there, and sent that all in, and that, I mean, within a month it was all gone. So just a lot of reading.
I think people think you're in Florida when you're actually in North Carolina.
Yes, now I'm in North Carolina. I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area. I was in just north of Tampa, Florida, a town called Port Richey. I lived there for 5 years. So yeah, now I'm in North Carolina because the schools are significantly better for my kids.
And Debbie's joking around saying that you're talking about her when you said there was experts that were telling the wrong stuff on Amazon.
And I mean, they're just trying to help, right? So it's just, you know, what I say in almost every one of my videos on here is, you know, definitely look at the source of the advice, you know, research it yourself. You know, if somebody's giving you advice, take that as a starting point and go find out for yourself. That's the best thing to do.
Like, that's why a lot of times when I comment on certain things, I'll have to go to since I'm mostly eBay, I'll go to the eBay site and I'll find the policy. I'll share the policy right in the conversation. That way I can say, when they say, no, it's not true, there it is, right here in black and white.
Right, yeah. And for some people, you kind of have to do that, right? Because they believe what they know is the truth, and sometimes you just have to go in and say, listen, for your own sake, this is what it is, and here's the proof, and so on and so on. So.
And Ronnie's asking me where I live in Massachusetts. You'll never believe this, Ronnie. Springfield, Massachusetts, and what was called the North Side, and I was one of the drug-related white people that lived there only. So. And Ronnie also said there are a lot of people wrong with their Amazon info.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many nuances to it that, you know, it's tough to keep it all straight, but you know, the best thing to do is just get it from the source. So.
Yep. Yes. Any more questions for Jim? Let's see, we got a couple more people. Chris Pyle is in the chat. Steven Scroggin showed up. Nikki Poplar Picker showed up. Let's see. So anything else you think might surprise the guests, the viewers, about you, besides the fact that you're a writer and
Sheesh. I don't
well, this
know.
is before you got into reselling, so that's different than reselling. So, you are reselling the trying to sell the writer, the writing part for a play.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you think there's a lot of nepotism in your workplace, try getting a movie made without knowing somebody. It's nearly impossible. I had a movie script that was a finalist in a national contest, and I didn't get a single call. It's very, very tough to break into that. And I feel like I have two scripts that are, screen ready, pretty much. But it's very, very hard to break into that without knowing somebody.
Well, you may have to pay attention next week. I'm thinking of who my guest is, where he works. We got a question from Chuck Allen. He said, how do you organize your week to hit as many locations as you can? I have tons of thrifts here also.
Basically, the way I do it is I have 4 routes. So I have my East Raleigh route, my West Raleigh route, my Durham route, and my what I call the local route, which is basically the suburbs between Raleigh and Durham, a little bit south. So there's about 10 thrifts in each route, and I hit those 10. And by the time I'm done with my 10th thrift, it's about 2:30, and it's time for me to head back, and I pick up my kids from school. So, it's about time for me to head back and start doing that and unloading and get my wife to go through the stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Brett, look, he says, Jim is a jack of all trades.
Right, you would think so, but I'm a master of none.
And Cherry Johnson asks, and I don't know if you want to review this, it's up to you. How much do you spend monthly on sourcing?
In a good month, 600 to 800. If I get a couple of slow weeks in there, probably 400 to 500.
And Debbie wants to know, so when do you list?
My Amazon stuff all gets listed on my phone the day before we pack up to ship. My wife is at home. She's going through the boxes. She's peeling stickers. She's getting stuff ready for Amazon to go out. And for eBay, what I do is typically on Sundays, I take all of my pictures, and I'll have between 200 and 300 pictures of maybe 20 to 30 items, let's say. And then I slowly list those throughout the week. So I'm not putting them all up on Monday. I'm listing 5 on Monday, 10 on Tuesday, another 5 Wednesday, so I slow drip them during the week. So I'm always listing something every single day.
Chris Piles wants to know, are you only thrift shops or do you hit the RA?
Retail arbitrage sucks. I hate it so much. It's so boring. I can't sit there and just scan. I have to go out and find the weird stuff, the unusual stuff that interests me, toys, games, music. So I can't just sit there in a Walmart and just scan the entire clearance section. Not to mention our clearance sections here are not that great. So, if they clearance something, it's for 15 to 20% for the first round. And if it makes it to the second round, then it'll go 30 and then 50 and 75. So it's a slow drip, but usually folks around here are picking stuff up for themselves right away. So we don't have those drastic cuts, 90% off stuff.
Okay, now you talked just briefly before the show started because you came in when you came in.
Mm-hmm.
how do you work the schedule with on Saturdays? Because you try to go into yard sales, and then you got soccer, but you got
Mhm,
three boys on two different on each different team.
mhm.
How do you work that into it?
Yeah, soccer really takes up a lot of my life in the spring and the fall. I have three boys, 12, 7, and 5. They're each in a soccer league. They're each in separate soccer leagues. I coach my youngest son's team. So I'm out there one day during the week, and Saturday, I'm out there for 3 hours, every Saturday. Sometimes in an hour, 3 nights a week. So usually they overlap here and there, but yeah, a lot of my time is taken up by soccer right now. So um, what we try to do is just be as efficient as possible when we're not doing soccer. um, on Saturdays, let's say soccer starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. Kids are up at 7 and we're out yard selling by 7:30 or 8 until 9:30, until we have to start going to the first game. So I don't hit as many thrifts, as many yard sales as I'd like, but being able to watch my kids play soccer is kind of why I do this. So it's more important than yard yard sales. So
Owen Wolf wants to know how many items do you list daily?
on eBay, I average 5 to 7 items a day. I really don't list that much every day. I've got 250 items in my store right now, give or take. Um, and yeah, I mean, the most important thing to me is just listing something every day.
And Cherry Johnson wants to know: do you attend any of meetups or reseller conferences?
I don't. There's no reseller meetups around here. Reselling around here is cutthroat. Nobody likes each other. It's if I see a reseller in a thrift store, I just kind of stay away from him. Um, if he's out scanning books, then I'm over in clothes. If he's in CDs, then I'm in games or houseware. So we're not friendly to each other, and sometimes I kind of don't want it that way, but sometimes I do. So it's very tough. It's a tough world here. So and conferences, I just haven't really gotten into them.
Okay. Chris Piles wants to know: do you list as auction or buy it now?
I'm 100% buy it now on eBay. I do free shipping. I do calculate my shipping before I list my item, so I don't get myself in trouble that way. And what else? Oh, a lot of my eBay, or not a lot, I've cut down now, about 30%, 35% of my eBay items are stale Amazon items. So I cross list, and then I do a merchant fulfilled order to Amazon just to clear that stuff out. So
Let's see. No other questions. Do you have any more questions for me? Because I know you probably had another one in your head when you were thinking before.
well, I don't know if I saw this in your video, but what was your favorite job? Like, if you weren't reselling, what would you be doing?
When because of my disability, I never had a job. Because I tried going to school, I wanted to help kids I wanted to learn how to help kids that had another disability like me.
Right.
I wanted to show them that whatever you don't think can get done. But through the college, they screwed up. So I could okay, I'm not gonna sit here and fight to take staying in. So I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I didn't really get into reselling in 2005. But I loved bowling to the point where that's one of the things I want. I bowled when I lived in Connecticut. They had the PBA come through, do their amateurs for the kids. and I bowled with the three of the pros. Well, each game a pro would come over and bowl. Well, one of the pros saw me bowl, and he looked at me. He said, "I want to see you in the pros." So right there, it's like, okay, if a pro says that to me, I must be doing something right. Or caught his eye for him to think that high of me, considering.
Right.
But then when I moved here, I got into playing poker because the leagues, when I first moved here, they advertised, when we looked it up, having 5 bowling alleys. So I was like, okay, one city, 5 bowling alleys. I think I can live there.
Right.
So, but then we moved here, we find out, oh, there's only 2.
Oh,
So, because all the other ones closed down for whatever reason.
gotcha.
So, eventually I saw, I like to watch poker on TV. So now all of a sudden they said, free poker league at a bar. I had one of the bowling alleys in the bar. I'm like, okay, I got to look into this. Oh, they play up, that's only up the road for me. So I went to that following Tuesday or whatever it was. I went and started playing, and I got into that, and I wanted people started saying, you're pretty good at what you're doing here, too.
Right.
So it's like, there's another thing. Okay, I want to really try playing, and then I really got into reselling. So it's like, sometimes tomorrow I'm thinking about going to play tomorrow because they're giving cash out for first place.
Oh.
So the way I do it sometimes is, that's what the wife liked about it when I did go. Sometimes I come home with money, and then we'd end up using it for the business or the house.
Okay.
There's one league that I played in. One of the people came up to me after 9 weeks of playing on the 9th week. See, this started in a new bar, and I would get a ride there and home. And the guy came up to me and said, Chris, are you going to win this week? Because the first 8 weeks that they played, I either came in first or second.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And they were paying cash for both places then.
Right.
So the first 2 months, I came home with $360.
Wow.
So
Pretty awesome.
that's quite. Those are the 2 things I'd want to do. But just like reselling, you need money or have sponsorship to be bowling, and sponsorship or money to go play poker and all the other casinos and tournaments and stuff like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's tough. Tough to break in.
Let's see. We have a comment from Kerry Bench. It says, I'm not chummy with my local competition. I don't think it's good business. I'm friends with resellers outside of my area.
Yeah, same here. I'm not chummy. I would be chummy. If somebody was nice to me, I'd be nice to them because that's just, the humanly thing to do. But if they're not going to be nice to me, if they're not going to say, hey, what you looking up? Where do you sell? Blah, blah, blah. Then I'm not going to put forth the effort, and it's probably best that way. But on my channel, I tell people exactly how my business is run. Don't take it as, this is how you should do it. It's just how I do it. It's an example of how it can be done. Just like any other resellers that I watch, and we're not in it to make money off of YouTube or to get fame or anything like that. It's just to be part of a group, just to be, we're all coworkers pretty much, and YouTube is our water cooler.
And we have a question from Dustin Sodders. He wants to know, do you have another item besides games that you sell on eBay?
Clothes. I sell a lot of clothes. And of course, games, toys, that's all kind of the same thing. But I do sell men's shirts is mainly what I sell. I tried getting into suits, but it's not working out. We don't have enough space and they're slow moving for me. So, yeah, clothes would be the second biggest thing. And then if I find anything weird or unusual or, antique vintage type stuff, then I'll pick that up. But it's a younger demographic around here. We've got a lot of tech out here. Cisco is out here. IBM is out here. Lenovo is out here. So it's a much younger demographic. So we don't see that kind of antique vintage stuff in the city. We have to go out to the country for that kind of stuff.
Cherry Vinci went on to say, on the other hand, I've done deals and trades with my competition, but when I see them on the field, in the field, we don't chit chat and grab a Starbucks. It's competition, and I respect that.
Yeah, I tried to make deals with my competition or other resellers. I came across this one guy at the flea market who had just a ton of games and he didn't know what to do with them. He bought storage lockers and he had no way to move these games. And I came up, as his solution. Hey, I'll buy all of your small stuff. I'll buy all your toys, all your games. And he said, all right, cool. We exchanged numbers and he contacted me last week or the next week and said, oh, these are what I have. And it's like 5 things. And he said, oh, well, but those Transformers that I told you about, I just threw them up on eBay because I'll make too much money on them. And I said, well, that's not the deal, but like you sell me all of your stuff or you sell me nothing. Like, so I just kind of, if you're going to cherry pick it, then I don't want to, it's not for me. It's not something that I want to be a part of. So.
Oh, and Wolf says, I was at a garage sale yesterday and got a cha-ching. Well, note to self, put your phone on vibrate.
Whenever both my wife and I have the eBay app on our phone and it's linked to the same account. And so we get a double cha-ching when that happens. So I just look at my wife and I go, boy, we're real busy today. And, we just kind of make jokes about it. And like I said, everybody around here is a reseller. So they all know what the cha-ching means. They all know when you're looking on your phone, you're not texting your wife or your friend, you're looking up prices. So
David, I don't know if he's being funny or not, said many of the resellers here raise mountain lions. And they often bring one to the thrift on a leash, so I keep my distance.
Yeah, it's sort of like that here, right? It's very tough. It's tough to find friends.
The crazy card wants to know, do you have any ins at thrift stores?
A lot of our thrift stores here are Goodwills. So if I had an in, it'd be an old lady that barely works the cash register. So I don't have ins. I actually told one employee what I did because she asked. She was like, "How come you're buying so many board games?" I had 20 or 30 games, and I said, "Well, I sell them. I collect them, but I also sell them." And ever since then, I've not found as many board games at that thrift store. So I learned to keep my big fat mouth shut. Because the thrift stores will turn around and open up an eBay account, an Amazon account, and throw it up there themselves.
Brett wants everybody to know that he's going to be starting videos in July so people can get to know him. Wanted to be in the full-time game first for at least 6 months. So
cool.
Well, maybe we'll have you on one time after that, Brett. We'll see how you do with videos first. Joke.
Looking forward to it.
So actually, if you're here and you want to subscribe to him already, so that way he knows you'll have people to work putting the videos out for, go ahead and do it. I want to thank all 50 plus viewers that we had tonight. This is actually more viewers than I've had on except for last week when I had Chad on the Wednesday night show. This is my first time I've had 50 plus viewers on a Sunday night in a long time. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting us tonight. If you liked what you are watching and hearing from Jim, please hit the like button. And just to refresh everybody's memory, Richard Kavanaugh was the winner of the 1,000 subscriber contest. So he will be getting the LED microscope dupe that was there. Crafty Caregiver, is there something your wife specializes in when sourcing?
The joke between my wife and I is she buys for herself and the kids. When we go out and our goal is to source, She says, "What do you think about this for Maddox? What do you think about this shirt for Kyler? Are these shorts too big? They're not in good shape, are they?" And it's like, look, listen, lady, I'm buying to resell. I'm not buying to fill up drawers, right? But she does like she's into the same stuff that I am, really. Toys and games, and she knows to scan anything with a barcode, and she doesn't really do CDs. If she comes across anything marching band too, she's really good. She was in the marching band, so she played the flute. So anytime I get a flute, I kind of send her a picture, or just, hey, what do you think about this? And she'll tell me, oh no, it's a student version, or yeah, grab that. So yeah, I mean, we're really into the same thing, which is why we get along so well.
Well, we're right on the hour, so I don't know if anybody's wanting to do an after show, or if Jim's willing to stay for a little bit after I get into halftime.
Yeah, I'll stay for a little bit.
Well, okay. Well, we have a question from Chuck Allen. Do you count all game pieces? That would take forever.
I don't. My wife does. Since she's home with her kids that she watches, she counts all the pieces. So it's a lot of work for her, and I feel bad for her, but I'm not doing it. Just kidding.
And I want to remind everybody, Wednesday night I will be having Rebecca Fox on. She will be giving a discounted on a price product that she's putting out. She did it in response to a lot of the questions that she was getting when she was on the shows the last 2 times. So she wanted to give me the opportunity to be their launch pad for it. And as you all know, I'm not into promotions and stuff like that unless somebody's been there for me a long enough time. She was there when she didn't have to be. She didn't know me. So, and she came on and gave you guys a lot of information about yard sales, not once, but twice. So, I will be doing, Wednesday will be her launch party type of thing. And she did ask for a certain person to come on with us. I don't know if he's going to. It's up to him, as he already knows. Well, I don't want. I told her I'm not going to pester for somebody else to come on. She said I could have a whole bunch of people if I wanted to. It's my show. So. But I figured he was there for the one for her, the one first time, so it's got to be fair. It'd be like a nice reunion for the third time.
Yep.
And he's in the chat already laughing. Okay, Brett wants to know what's a good brand camera to get for my computer.
Well, I've got Logitech C270. It's about 3 years old now.
And I have the the C920, I think. So that's where you. Oh, and I know Chad has about a 6. I know Chad has the next higher up, I believe, the CD930 or 920, however they work it. So, Cherry says, "Great show, Chris and Jim. You know I enjoy your show as well. Good night." So, good night,
Good night,
Cherry. And Chuck wants to know, what's your biggest mistake to avoid and best tip to share? And by the way, before you answer that, Chad, I'm not trying to guilt you. I'm just busting on you like you always bust on me.
Let's see. Biggest mistake to avoid. Don't leave the house without your phone. I know a decent amount about toys and games, but I still look stuff up every single time I go out. I aside from vintage games, which I kind of collect it anyway.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, that was mine. My phone's in the other room. But yeah, any board game I find that has a barcode, I'm scanning it. And that's because the prices will change week to week even. A good example is Categories Junior. 2 weeks ago on Amazon, they were selling for $30. Now they're down to $18 or $19. So, if you found one 2 weeks ago and you scanned it, and, okay, I'm going to buy it. This week you go out and you scan it, or you don't scan it and you just buy it for $5. Well, now you're not making as much money as you thought you were. So, definitely remember your phone. Don't think you know it all, because you don't. Best tip to share. Regarding board games, I gave this on your last show, actually, and it's my best tip. If you look for educational games, games by Educational Insights, Ravensburger. There's a couple of others out there that I can't think of right now, but if you buy an educational game and it's incomplete, contact the company, and more likely than not, they will send you out the pieces you need for free.
Oh, there you go, everybody. There's your tips for tonight. Hope you enjoyed learning about Jim, and hopefully we'll have another good guest next week. I have a couple online. Just so you know, what I do have lined up had internet issues for tonight. That is the reason Jim jumped in for me. He's filled in. So thanks again, Jim. I know you were already on the list, but jumped a little earlier than we were expecting.
Yep, not a problem. Glad to do it.
Thanks everybody again for watching. Congrats to Richard Kavanaugh again on winning the contest.
Woo-hoo.
And I will be doing an after show, since Jim said he'll stay for a little while, and so I will send this out into the chat and into the society. If you're not a member, why not? Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.